Last week we got a fantastic blog post covering all of the combat roles we can expect to see in BF5 at launch. This is part of a new wave of information that DICE are putting out there for Battlefield 5. In the last few weeks we've had more information about the game than probably the last 6 months, but the bottom line is we're getting the information that we need. So while last week covered the combat roles for each class, this week we've got the details on all of the vehicles, weapons and gadgets, and even the reinforcements that we're going to get our hands on in the full game at launch. So this one is very juicy. Let's get stuck in. First of all, at launch there are going to be 30 primary weapons in BF5. These are split into different categories. SMGs and shotguns are of course the up close and personal weapons. SMGs are for the medic class and the assault class can equip the shotguns. Assault rifles on the other hand are classified as the big brother of the SMG, and these pack a bit more of a punch. We've all tried the STG on the assault class, so we know what to expect with the assault rifles. In theory these are designed for medium range. LMGs are of course the weapon of choice of the support class, and these are for sustained fire and suppression. And then we've got semi-automatic rifles, which in theory have more range than the assault rifles, self-loading rifles, and last of all bolt action rifles, which of course are the sniper rifles of the game. So here is the list then. For assault rifles there are 3 assault rifles in the base game. We already know of the STG, which is classed by many as the first ever real assault rifle in real life. It's very strong in the game, and most of us will already have experienced this rifle in the alpha and beta version of the game. And it's been revealed that we're going to get the Sturmgewehr 1.5, which is a selective fire version of the Gewehr 1.5 semi-automatic rifle. Looks pretty interesting. And lastly, for the assault rifles we get the M1907 SF, which is supposedly similar to the M1 Carbine, only heavier, and most importantly more powerful. Next up is the semi-automatic rifles. First is the Selbstlader 1916, which should be reasonably familiar to most of us as it does appear in BF1. It's an early German semi-auto rifle that was extremely popular with the German forces. Only 1,000 were actually made though. The Gewehr 43 is next up, and we got to play around with that in the beta, so this one should be reasonably familiar to most. The blog claims that it's a rifle so strong that it can be used as a ladder rung if needed. Now I'm not going to go out and test that in real life, but I believe it. Next on the list is the Gewehr 1.5. This is the semi-auto rifle that was the basis for the Sturmgewehr 1.5 that we talked about earlier. It actually has the same detachable magazine as the STG-44. The last 2 weapons for the semi-autos are the A1 Carbine, which is a pretty weak but fast firing semi-auto rifle, and then the Turner SMLE, which the blog states fires faster than the Gewehr 43 but has a weaker bullet at range. I think that's a good amount of variation in weapons and some interesting choices to make depending on your playstyle. The Turner SMLE and the M1A1 Carbine were both also playable during the beta. Then of course we've got the bolt action rifles for the sniper class. The Lee Enfield No. 4 Mark 1 rifle was the default one available in the beta, so if you played as a sniper there's a good chance that you've tried it out. It's a good all-around rifle, but its bullet speed was definitely slower than the Kar 98, and the Kar 98 of course also available in the game, the other bolt action rifle that was available to try in the beta. It was actually the most popular bolt action rifle in the German army. My first introduction to the Kar 98 was probably in the original COD game or the Day of Defeat mod for Half-Life. It's such an iconic weapon. Unsurprisingly, the other 2 bolt action rifles are ones that we haven't seen just yet. The first is the Gewehr M95-30. There was a Gewehr M95 in Battlefield 1, and the blog mentions the fact that it was used during the First World War by the Austro-Hungarian army, so it's probably going to be the same rifle, or at least very similar. The second new bolt action is the Krag Jorgensen, which was a Norwegian designed rifle with an interesting magazine. It used a special type of magazine that loaded from the side rather than the top. Certainly makes for a slightly interesting design. The other recon weapons are the self-loading rifles. We got to experience the madness that was the ZH-29 during the beta, a 2-shot kill, super powerful rifle, but despite that, I'm not entirely sure it's overpowered, having played with it a bit more in the beta, at least in its default state. Hard to judge really with so many possible upgrade options. I actually called it the RSC 2.0, but the RSC is also in the game as another self-loading rifle, and this was a French rifle that we got to see in BF1. Last up is the Model 8, which is a Remington rifle, but the patent was actually granted to John Browning in 1900, but then he sold it on to Remington. And then we've got medic weapons. The Sten, Suomi, EMP and the MP40 are ones that we've already experienced in testing. The Sten and Suomi are laser beams pretty much when upgraded and offer a really fast firing option up close. The MP40 on the other hand is a very iconic SMG. There are 3 other SMGs that we are yet to test. These are the MP28, which is an upgraded version of the MP18 from World War I and BF1, replacing the drum magazine with the straight one. And then we've also got the MP34, which was based on the older MP18. Last of all, the M1928 A1, or the Tommy gun. We knew the Tommy gun would make its way into the game at some point, so it's a naturally good fit for the medic class. Moving on, when it comes to the light machine guns, we've got the KE7, which is a medium rate of fire LMG, which was available during the beta. Interesting fact, despite this gun being designed in Switzerland, the Swiss Army never even used it. The Lewis gun, an iconic LMG from World War I, it was used in World War II, and it did appear in BF1, but I feel like it was outclassed by a lot of the other options there. During the beta, we got to play with the Bren 2. It was the one with the huge vertical top-mounted box that took up a lot of view space. Didn't really like it. The FG42 was also available, and this one was extremely fast firing, bordering on capable of competing with some of the strongest weapons in the game. It's also the highest damage output weapon on the support kit, and we've got the MG34 and the MG42, and these are medium machine guns. The MG42, everyone knows what it is, and that actually replaced the MG34. Last of all, for the support guns, we get the M30 Drilling Shotgun. This was one that we've already seen and talked about and had a chance to play with, and it's got a selective fire allowing you to shotgun people up close or use the rifle barrel at the bottom for medium to long range engagements. Then the 12G automatic is the second shotgun. There are also 7 sidearms and 9 melee weapons. The sidearms are the P38 pistol, the Ruby, the P08 pistol, the repeater pistol M1912, the M1911, the FP45 Liberator and the MK V1 revolver. So that's all of the weapons at launch covered, but that's not quite it. We were also given all 16 gadgets that we're going to get to play with. We already know most of them: ammo crate and ammo pouch, flare gun, grenade launcher, the M49 spotting scope, medical crate and medical pouch, Panzerfaust 100, the Piat, the S35 bouncing Betty, the SMLE smoke grenade launcher, a sniper decoy had to come in back, spawn beacon, sticky dynamite, Sturm pistol and telemine. There are also going to be 7 reinforcements available at launch: the V1 rocket, the JB2 rocket, the Sturm Tiger, Churchill Crocodile, supply canister drop, T48 GMC half track and the SD KFZ 251 pack wagon. There is a bit of a different blend here. Of course, we've got the offensive rockets, and we've seen how powerful the V1 and the JB2 rocket can be, completely wiping out all enemies and reinforcements on a point if you land a good one. The Sturm Tiger and the Churchill are powerful tank reinforcements, and the supply canister is more of a squad support item that I think you'll use on the bigger Conquest style maps. The other 2 are powerful half tracks that are a little less OP than the 2 tank call-ins. In terms of stationary and towable weapons, we've got the Flak 38, the Pak 40, the QF6 PDR, the Vickers HMG tripod and the MG34 tripod. Then of course we've got vehicles. Let's start with the transports first. We've got the Kettenkrad, which is the small half track, then the Kurbelwagen, which is a small transport car, the M3 half track and the SD KFZ 251 half tracks, which again are larger transport vehicles, the latter not to be confused with the stronger squad call-in version, and finally the universal carrier. Now tanks, because there are lots of tank fans out there. When it comes to the tanks, we've already had a few of them available during the alpha and beta, and with various developer blogs we also already know most of them that are in the game. But the full list is as follows: the Churchill Mark 7, the Churchill gun carrier, the Flak Panzer IV, the Panzer 38, the Panzer IV, the Staghound T17E1, the Tiger 1, the Valentine AA Mark 1, and then the Valentine MK8. So 9 tanks in total then. Of course, lots of players will want to know about the air vehicles, so here they are. The Spitfire is in, of course, a classic World War II plane, and we're going to get the MKVA and the MKVB options. Also available is the BF109G2 and the BF109G6. The Blenheim Mark 1 and the MKIF are in here too, as well as the Mosquito F Mark II, the JU88A and the JU87 Stuka B1 and B2 variants. This is a whole lot of vehicles and planes. So wrapping things up, by my count at launch of the game, this is everything that we have. 30 primary weapons, 7 sidearms, 9 melee weapons, 16 gadgets, 7 reinforcements, 5 stationary or towable weapons, and 24 vehicles, with the vehicles being broken down into 9 tanks, 5 transports and 10 aircraft. So if you don't include variants, I think that that's possibly more primary weapons than BF1 had at launch. Definitely less sidearms though. Of course with BF5 you would upgrade your weapons rather than having separate variants. So what do you guys think? Are you happy with all of the weapons and vehicles on offer here? Anything that you really wanted to see that isn't there? Remember, this is a live service, so weapons, maps, vehicles, gadgets will all be added down the line for free in the Tides of War service. The only thing that really sticks out in my mind is, can you really launch a World War II game without an M1 Garand in it? Well, it looks like we're not going to get the M1 Garand at launch, but the way DICE are doing this is chronological almost. So when the Americans are introduced in the live service, I'm sure that we'll get the M1 Garand to play with then. And that's all for today, folks. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.